Welcome golfers. Today we're going to do a quick 10, maybe 15-minute stretch routine that you can put into your daily routine, all right, to improve your mobility, your flexibility, and your overall movement for your golf swing. My name's Jason. I'm a trainer here at FitGolf in the Philadelphia area in Pennsylvania. All right, and these stretches I would consider relatively basic and safe for beginners, safe for senior golfers, generally safe for someone that's had surgery or maybe a joint replacement. With that being said, make sure you get approval from your doctor before doing this. All right, before we get going, make sure you check the link in the description below for a guide to this workout. So it's a free downloadable guide, the stretch routine. All right, and if you'd rather use paper or something like a PDF to follow along as opposed to video, then it's a great option for you. All right, let's get started. We're going to cover the major areas today: spine, shoulders, and hips. All right, so it's a quick routine. Are there other things that we want to move around and stretch? Sure. But when you're pressed for time or you just want to do something quick, this routine is for you. So let's start with the spine. All right, we're going to get to all fours and do Cat-Camel. Things and that this is probably something that you've done before, seen before, nothing groundbreaking, but it's a great way to kind of release the spine and get some movement through the trunk. All right, so all fours. Now breathing, really important. What we're going to do is we're going to lift the head and breathe in. And I want your back arched in this position. So gentle, you don't have to push it. Then we're going to exhale, bring the chin down, and you're going to tuck and round the spine. Let's do 8 reps. Breathe in. Exhale. There's 2. 3. 4. Key thing here is slow, controlled movements. And if you do have a spine or back condition, I really want you working in a range of motion that's pain-free. Okay, so let's do a couple more reps. Exhale as we're rounding, as we're talking. Inhaling as we're bringing the chin up and arching. And there's 8. So it's a good starter exercise, all right? Cat-Camel, get some flexion extension through the spine, which is going to help us with our next one, where we're going to ask the spine to rotate. So the next stretch is called open books. Now, for some of you that maybe have some postural issues or head and neck issues, you may want to grab a pad or a pillow to support your neck with this. What we're going to do, let's lay on our left side. And these are called open books. So we're on our left side. We're going to bring the knees up as close to the chest as you can. So if you have some hip limitations that may be difficult, just try your best. We want to make sure that we're on the back of the left shoulder. So a lot of people will set up on the side of the shoulder, and that's going to limit rotation in the stretch a little bit. So we're going to bring the shoulder out from under us, okay? Make sure we're on the back of the shoulder. Next up, let's take the left hand and just place them down on the legs. The job of the left arm and hand is to keep these legs down. Okay, let's get going. So we're going to reach the right arm forward, and I want your rib cage and your trunk to come forward with the arm. We're going to take a deep breath in. We're going to exhale. We're going to rotate our trunk and rib cage back, and the right arm is going to go along for the ride. All right, once you feel like you get a little stuck or you can't rotate any further, deep breath in. Big exhale. And that's going to help you get a little bit further. All right, rotate arm forward. Make sure your rib cage, trunk, and chest come along. Deep breath in. Exhale. All right, wherever you feel a little stuck, hold. Deep breath in again. And exhale. Good, there's 2. We're going to do 6 here. Let's do 4 more. I want your head turning with your chest. So when you're reaching back and you're stretching, I want your eyes looking up to the ceiling. And there's 3. And reach forward, turn, reach back. Let's also make sure that the hand, in this case the right hand, stays above the pec or the shoulder area. There we got 1 more. And really important, a lot of people just kind of yank their arm back That's not what we're doing here. We're rotating the upper body. The arm is relaxed. We're gentle there. Let gravity do the work. Let your breathing do the work. And there's 6. We'll switch sides. So where you'll feel that stretch is your pec. You might feel it in your hip a little bit. All right, so I'm going to turn around and face away from you guys so you can see arm positioning and my movement from a different angle. So now let's get to our right side, okay? Make sure we're not on the side of the right shoulder, rather on the back of it. Knees up as close to the chest as you can get them. Reach the left arm forward, deep breath in. Exhale. Okay, if you feel really tight, let's take another breath. So real quick, just notice where my hand is. A lot of people will kind of drive the motion to the arm and have the arm down here. A, that's not really good for your shoulder. B, we're not getting anything out of that. We're not rotating. Okay, rotate forward, deep breath in, and exhale. Hand above the shoulder. Make sure that the rib cage is rotating. All right, and forward. Okay. Get to where you feel a little stuck. Deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay, let's do 3 more. Forward, deep breath in. Through the nose. Exhale. A little bit further. By now you should feel like you're opening up, increasing motion a little bit with each and every rep. Okay, slow and controlled, just like everything else today. All right, let's do 1 more. Deep breath in and out. I think this feels really good. So personally, I feel it a little bit in my left pec muscle and a tad bit in my left hip. So depending on where you're tight is going to determine where you feel this the most. Okay. Again, we want to be gentle with everything that we're doing here, right? So when you're doing the open books, don't push it to the point of discomfort or pain. Work within the range of motion that's available to you, right? And over time, as you learn to breathe and relax in these positions, you'll be able to get a little bit further. So that was called open books. It's great for thoracic, spine, and trunk rotation. That's going to really help you set up with better posture, maintain better posture, and get much better shoulder turn and upper body rotation in the golf swing. Okay. Now, let's move to the hips. So we're going to start stretching the hip rotators, the glute muscles, and some of the little muscles around the hip that may limit your ability to coil, shift weight, obviously turn the hips. So we're going to start with something called the 90-90 Hip Rotator Stretch. So I think the best way to get into the 90-90 position is start in a seated position. So you're on your butt, knees bent, and just get nice and tall. Let's stretch the right hip first. So what we're going to do, and follow along closely here, we're going to take the right leg. We're going to bring the foot across our body, and we're going to set the right knee down on the floor. I want you to try to get your right knee right in front of your left hip. So make sure that we're not out that way too much, okay? So bring it across, knee in front of the hip, okay? Make sure that we see 90-degree angles, knee and foot. Now, we're going to take the left leg, and we're going to swing it back to 90 degrees. Same thing here, all right? Take a look at your knee and trace a line right up to the hip. That should be a straight parallel line. 90-degree angle at the knee, 90-degree angle at the foot. Okay, now, if you feel like you're having a really tough time getting that front knee, the right knee down to the ground, take a pillow or a couple pillows and just place it under the knee. That way you're not straining and we can get this leg to relax. If you can get it down to the ground comfortably, of course, you don't need to do that. But if you can't, place a pillow under the right knee. All right, next up, we're going to take the left hand. We're going to place it on the right heel. We're going to take the right hand and just place it a couple inches away from the bottom of your right thigh and knee. Okay. Now, a lot of people, when I'm coaching the stretch in the gym here, we'll kind of start like this. We want to try to get our shoulders level to the floor, okay, and parallel with the forward leg, the right leg. Once we have that position, if that's difficult, just try to get there and breathe and just take a couple seconds getting into it. Now, from here, what we're going to do, we're going to take a deep breath in, just like all the other stretches. Big exhale. And we're going to put all of our weight into the forward leg. I almost feel like I'm trying to get my chest and my head out in front of the right leg here. Another deep breath in. And exhale. So here we're just going to hold, all right, 6 breaths. There's 3, 4, 5. Stay long through your spine. Weight in the front leg. One more breath, guys. And exhale. And there's 6. So you should feel that around the right glute, hip area, maybe a little in the hamstring, the inside of the thigh, the groin area. Okay. Different people are going to feel that at different places. All right, let's do the left. I'm going to show you a different angle. All right, so I'm going to face to the side here. Again, in nice, tall, seated position, knees bent. Now let's take our left leg, bring the foot across to the right side. Okay, let's take a look at the left knee. Let's make sure everything's in line here. Then we're going to swing the right leg back. Move that pillow out of the way. All right, I'm taking a look at my right knee. It's in line with my right hip. 90-degree knee angle, 90-degree foot angle. Okay, left hand a couple inches out from the left thigh and knee, right hand on the left heel. Okay, now let's get our shoulders in a good position. So get nice long through the spine, shoulders parallel with the leg, level to the ground. All right, from here, staying long, deep breath in. Exhale. We're just going to hinge, kind of lean forward just a little bit. I can feel my left hip's a little bit tighter here, so this is good that we're doing this. All right, make sure that we don't drop the head and round the spine. The goal is not to get your head and chest as low as possible. It's to get a good stretch in the hip. And the way that we're going to do that is by staying long and in good posture. Okay, let's start breathing 6 times. When I exhale, I get a little bit deeper, kind of bring my upper body out a little bit more forward. There's 2, deep breath in. Exhale. 3, again, stay long through the spine, head up. 4, 5, and 6. Good. So we got our left hip, glute stretched out. Should help open up the left hip for more rotation if you're a right-handed golfer into the impact position. Of course, if you're a left-handed golfer, into the left hip for the backswing for good backswing rotation. Okay. Now, next up, we're going to move to the front of the hip. So an area which all of you know, or at least heard of, the hip flexors. Okay. So most people need to be doing more stretching for their hip flexors, and we're going to lump the quadriceps in this a little bit too. So we're going to do something called the half kneeling hip flexor stretch. Okay. Let's start with our right knee down. So let's get into a tall kneeling position. So both knees down, get nice and tall. We're going to take our left leg and bring it out in front at 90 degrees. Now, if you need to grab your sofa, a chair, or something similar to keep you supported, if you lack balance here, that's okay. All right, so once we're in the half kneeling position, we're going to plant that back foot. So you see my toes there pushing into the ground. Now, I want you in good straight posture. So I want to see right knee, hip, shoulder, ears, all in alignment, nice and tall. From here, we're going to take both of our hands and just press them down into the left knee. Now, to get a good stretch here, it's important we know how to activate our core. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten and contract my right glute. Okay, step 1. Step 2 is I'm going to draw in the abdominals or draw in the belly button towards the spine. I'm going to push down. Now, as soon as I do those things, squeeze the right glute, draw in the abdominals, I feel a good stretch here at the top of my hip or the front of my hip, even down into my quad a little bit. All right, so once you get the core on, let's take 6 breaths, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now make sure that glute is staying tight, right glute tight. 5, and 6. All right, so 6 deep breaths like that equate to anywhere between 30 and 40 seconds, I'd say. So instead of counting time for all these stretches, we're focusing obviously on counting breaths, which I think is a more effective way to stretch. All right, let's switch sides. So we got left knee down. I'm going to show you a different angle. Tall kneeling position. We're going to bring the right leg out in front, 90 degrees. Grab onto something if you need to, if you don't feel stable here. I'll venture to say a lot of you may not feel totally stable here, so have something around if you need it. We're going to plant those toes in the ground, left toes, nice and tall, align our body, get in good posture. Contract the left glute muscle, the left cheek, butt cheek. Bring the belly button in towards your spine, so our core is engaged. Now I feel the stretch. We're going to push down into the front leg. If you need a little bit more stretch, you can push the pelvis, the hips forward just a little bit. All right, deep breaths starting now. 1, 2, keep squeezing your left glute. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. All right, so we have the left hip flexor stretch. Real quick, guys, before we keep going on. I see a lot of people say, oh, yeah, I do that stretch. And I'll say, okay, show me. And here's what I say. See this. This, we're not effectively stretching anything at all. A lot of that motion's coming through our lower back. So a much more effective way is doing it the way that I just instructed. Align, core engaged. You notice how that flattens the back out when the glute and the core contract, nice and tall. We don't need to lunge very far to get an effective stretch. In fact, you shouldn't need to lunge at all as long as you have your core going. Okay, so stretching the hip flexors is going to help you relieve lower back pain a little bit. It's going to increase your hip rotation and your hip mobility. So really important that golfers with tight hip flexors get them stretched out regularly. Last exercise, we're going to put all the pieces together. We're going to do some glute bridges. So a little 2 for 1 here. We're going to work on glute activation and strength. All right, and as we're lifting up in the bridges, we're also getting a really good stretch to our hip flexors and our quads. So to do a bridge, you're going to get in a hook lying position, so knees bent. I want you to try to get your heels under your knees if possible. If you have some knee issues, you don't have that range of motion, just get them as close as you can. So if you're out a little further, that's okay. All right, we're gonna have the hands down. Okay, relax your arms. Now, first thing we wanna do is activate our glutes. So you're not gonna see it, but what I'm doing here, using my brain, I'm trying to contract and tighten the glutes a little bit. Belly button down to the spine. I'd prefer if the lower back was flat on the ground. Okay, now from here with the glutes activated, we're gonna lift the hips up a little bit. Okay, we're gonna take a deep breath in. We're gonna exhale and lift a little higher. And lower, let's do 8 reps. Contract your glutes, back flat, lift, deep breath in. Exhale, lift a little bit higher, get the glutes a little tighter, and down. So the better your glutes are working, the more your core is working, the more stretch you're gonna feel in the quads and hip flexors. There's 3. Now, if you're doing these and you feel like your hamstrings are gonna cramp, or you feel some pressure in your lower back, just limit how high you go for now. And the more you do this, the better you should be able to do with those things and getting higher, all right? 4. So what happens to a lot of people is they're lifting, they lift a little too high, and they just start compensating with their hamstrings and their low back. So take it easy, real gentle. There's 5. We got 3 more. Contract the glutes, flatten the back, lift, breathe in, exhale. Lift a little bit higher if you can. There, we got 2 more. Let's activate the glutes, abdominals, lift, breathe in. There's 7. Okay, 1 more. Contract the glutes, hold a couple seconds, don't rush, and down. Good. So we're doing it the right way. You're really gonna feel the glutes work, maybe a little bit in your hamstrings. Again, if that bothers your lower back or you feel the lower back tightening, you're probably not doing it the right way. So bridge not as high, it's a good option. Get your glutes, get your core activated a little bit more before you lift. These are all things that can help you if you do feel lower back tightness with the bridge. Okay, so that's it for today. We did a few things. We started with Cat-Camel, get the spine moving. The open book stretch, get the upper body and the spine rotating. The 90-90 hip rotator stretch, loosen up the hip rotators. Half kneeling hip flexor stretch. all right, loosen up the hip flexors. And then we just finished up with glute bridges to help keep everything in check, balanced out, so you can maintain the mobility, the flexibility you gain from doing these stretches in the first place. All right, so this should only take you hopefully 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. Is something that you should do every day, right? It's not necessarily a warm up for golf. This is something to do the morning that you're playing golf, after golf, maybe at nighttime, you're watching TV, you're relaxed in the living room. Just get on the floor and do these stretches. If you do these every day, you'll notice a difference. Again, download the guide to this stretch routine. It's in the description below, so you don't have to refer back to this video every time. You can just print it out and you know what stretches you need to do. Also, if you want to see a different type of routine, maybe a strength routine, an additional stretch routine, maybe a foam rolling routine that you'd like to see for your golf, just leave a comment, right? And we're always making videos. We always want to give you the best content and material possible. So I want to hear, what do you want to learn more about? What type of routines that you want? And I assure you that we will make those routines in the coming weeks and months. Thank you for joining me on this 15-minute stretch. Make sure you're doing it every day if possible, and I'll see you again soon.